We're
Looking good.
flowing.
Looking good. Oh, we're just right in. I have so
We're
many
just going straight in,
questions.
you know? Sometimes you just gotta flow with it.
Well, this is. I've missed you, buddy.
I know it's been 3 weeks.
Has it?
Yeah, because we did the one batch recording,
Yep.
so we didn't do the week after, and then I had to do the solo one last week. You seem
Thank
like you're
you.
better. You're on the mend.
Oh my God. I feel like a new woman as compared to what I felt like. Um, I will tell you, sustained crazy high fever for multiple days gives you some crazy freaking thoughts and dreams. Um, I have, I don't know. I can't even say I was that sick, like sniffly or anything like that. None of that. I just literally
Yeah.
had crazy fever. Um, and like and ice picks going through my temples is basically what it felt like. Um, how nobody got it around me. So I had COVID. For those that don't know, this would be the third COVID that I've had since the announcement of COVID. I never experienced it like this. 4 children, my elderly mother, my boyfriend, who I'm certainly exchanging germs with. Nobody got any signs or symptoms or anything other than me. So one, I'm happy for that. But two, it makes like no sense. And it took me out.
Well, it does make
Okay.
sense if you, like
Don't.
me. So no, I'm not going. I'm not throwing any more vegan shots.
Okay.
Um, if you subscribe to that, and I actually think that it's somewhere in the middle, but if you subscribe to the terrain versus germ theory,
Okay.
so you were probably, I mean, you started the new gig, running around a
I did a
lot.
cleanse. I did a reset.
Oh, there
So
you go.
yes.
Oops,
Yeah.
there we go. You were run down, and your body was not able to keep up with all the toxic exposure of the world,
Yeah.
and you got COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. Ben and I were having some conversations. Yeah, I was run. I was definitely a bit run down. Um, so yeah, I was forced to take to the bed, and I would go from the bed
Sometimes,
to the bath.
sometimes that's what the man upstairs does, right? He's like stops you in your tracks and says, "No, you're pushing too hard."
Yeah. Yes, but yeah. Well, I could go into it much more, but the bottom line is after feeling like that, even though I'm not 100%, I feel so grateful to be alive and functional and yes, and ready to kick your ass because I heard how you started off the last solo podcast. God love you. I did not get sick cuz I'm vegan. Thank you very little.
And like I said, I would never say that.
And I know you would never say that.
It's, you know,
Change. It's all change in how our body and our mind and our physical and our mental are either poised to really run with it, um or are we positioning ourselves for change and adaptation? Are we positioning ourselves to be able to bounce back, right? Like for me,
mhm.
there was I really didn't have a choice. I could not function outside of basically survival mode for a few days. But I'm right back at it with a new appreciation of feeling well.
You know, I hate being sick, and
Mhm.
as I said last time, it doesn't happen very often, touch wood. But there is no better feeling than after being sick when you
Yes.
feel normal again, is you have that new appreciation of what
Yeah.
normal feels like.
Yeah. I will tell you, I had this interesting experience with food because going into getting sick, I did this chroma basically reset. It's not a water fast or anything like that, but it's just super clean. No oils, nothing, no processed at all, and I really, really enjoyed it. So I was kind of resetting my relationship with food with that, and then I wasn't eating at all. And then when I was eating, I basically ate watermelon and pineapple for multiple days. So real talk, as a woman, I'm like, ooh, I'm down a couple more pounds. Um, but then I was like, "Ooh, I'm afraid to start eating again because I don't want to go back up those couple of pounds because I know that it's not like real weight loss." Well, I guess it is weight loss, but whatever. Um, but really asking myself, I had gone 6 days without any caffeine and I wasn't really missing it. And I did have some coffee this morning, but I was like, I'm really asking myself, do I really want these things? Like,
Yeah.
processed crackers, things like that, like, they're sitting there. I think I had a cracker while I was sick, but I was like, "I don't even actually want to eat that." Like, I felt so good just having the fruit or just the totally non-processed, um, foods that are around me, and so I've got kind of had this reset with food that is making me way more conscious of what I'm choosing to eat as I'm kind of
Yeah.
re-entering eating normally. Because it feels good to have shed. I can tell I'm less inflamed. Like that I really don't have much like my face is less puffy when I wake up in the morning. Anyway, it's interesting, but I'm back. I'm here. Thank you for running with us and keeping our streak alive.
Yeah. And so talking of change, I was thinking on the way over here how I wanted to frame it, and
Mm,
it kind of occurred to me that there's really two types of change, right? There's
mm,
change that's thrust upon you,
yep.
and then there are changes that you're trying to implement.
Yeah.
And there are challenges with both of those, and that's really what we wanted to get into today. And like that example there for you, that was a mixture actually, because there were changes you were making
Yeah.
consciously
Yep.
with the cleanse and everything. By the way, that can happen that once you stop ingesting is not the right word, but once you start bringing in toxins from food and oils and certain things, your body does react by like getting rid of all the toxins in you because it's not trying to fight as much anymore. So that
Yeah.
you could have had it's always interesting with if you get tested for even with something like the flu or whatever.
Mhm.
Sometimes the symptoms may not actually be what the diagnosis is. It's just
Yeah.
how it's all happening at the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the change you were implementing, but then also changes that were thrust upon you because you couldn't
Mhm.
work, you had to rest up, you couldn't eat.
Yep.
And we're both going through new career changes and not changes, but career paths and
Yeah.
opportunities and whatnot. And it's just isn't one of those moments where we're both really practicing what we preach. And I feel rather proud of us for just keeping this going,
Yes.
because it'd be really easy to say, oh, let's kick it another couple weeks or whatever. But we've here we are. We found a 30-minute window we could both make it, and
Yeah.
we're doing it.
We're doing it. I was really grateful today to you because I was like, we didn't even talk about you doing the solo episode. And that's the cool thing when you can really find like amazing partnerships. Like, you just did it and ran with it and you made sure you covered our ass, and I think that's what makes strong relationships. Like, it's never 50-50. And I think when people go into thinking that things need to be 50-50, it's just not. Like, someone is always going to be carrying a little bit more. It might just be for a few hours, it might be for a few days, it might
Yeah.
be for a few weeks, it might be maybe a few years in some cases. So I was really really appreciative of that. And I want to add on to the two types of change, right? There's the change that we choose, and there's a change that is kind of thrust upon us. And there's also two types of change. There's external change and there's internal change. So,
Mhm.
external change, like chose to make a career change, right? That's an external change. But then there's all the internal changes that are going on, even in conjunction with that exterior change. It's all the identity beliefs and things like that. So, there's change we choose, there's change that is thrust upon us, and then there's change that's coming from an external factor, and then there's change that's coming from an internal factor. And that's why there's a lot of resistance that comes up when it really comes time to actually change, especially when it's the internal stuff.
Yeah, and I think people like ourselves who coach, as a profession, it's it kind of comes a bit more naturally to us to it's not to say that it's easy, but
Hmm.
making changes in our lives is is less challenging than for most people, and that's why we therefore coach.
Yeah.
Um, and I used to get really frustrated when I was a young personal trainer, be like, why can't you just fucking show up and do the exercises I'm giving you? Or, we talked about those foods you shouldn't be eating. And it took me a little while to understand, oh, like this is actually challenging for people. In the same way that other things are very challenging for me, not just, we all have our strengths and weaknesses. And um, it took me a little while to appreciate that even making a small change, just adding one thing to your routine
Yep.
can be really difficult for people.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's stages of change too, and your readiness for change.
Hmm.
Um, so consciously, we're like, yes, we want this change. We want these results, right? We really want the results. We don't necessarily want the change. We just want the results. But we need to like dial all the way back. Like, do we really even believe that change is a possibility? Like, do we really believe
Yeah.
this is even, and this is possible? Um, it's really frustrating when when you can see it so clearly from the outside, and there's not a person that's listening to this that isn't frustrated with themselves or haven't been at some point in time like, god, why can't I just do it, right? And that's like that's comfort zone, right? It's not good, it's not healthy, it's something we know we want to change, we must change it, but it's so scary what's on the outside of what we're so used to that we stay in this our own self-confined kind of torture of the comfort zone that's not comfortable at all. It's just what we know. So having a
Yeah.
professional, having people around you that can help you move through that scary place is really important. It's very challenging to do that on your own unless you have a real like come to Jesus moment, where it's like a never again will this happen. Most people don't get that real rock bottom. Like if that's where it takes you to, but people like what you thought might think it was rock bottom, there's actually a lot deeper that you could go. So people don't actually ever really, truly get to their rock bottom. Thank God.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Um,
it really comes down to, and we've talked about it before, and it's very big in the self-development space of like identifying your why statement. Like,
mhm,
why do I need to make this change? Why do I want to make this change?
mhm,
And what I found in particular, particularly with health things, is you really have to peel back a few layers. Okay, you say it's for your kids, all right? Why
yeah,
is being healthy for your kids important? Well, because I want to, grow old and spend as much time with them. Okay, well, why is that important to you? And then you get through a few. And I think I've talked about it on here before when I did I interviewed with it was Flo. I forget the get his name. And I forget the guy's name who does it. It's a big um Flow initiative or something. It was to do it was to become certified in training how to get into flow.
okay.
Um
Flow state.
and yeah, I forget what it's called. But anyway, the guy who was, it was really a sales call if we're honest. But I knew what he was doing. He was asking me those questions, and even though I knew what, I was playing along, I was answering them, and I started like tearing up.
Yeah.
I was talking about my kids and all of this stuff, and it's really, really powerful. And and I'll use my example of how much I've cut back on drinking alcohol. And again, I didn't have a problem with it, but I didn't have a healthy relationship. I was drinking most nights, one or two drinks.
Hmm.
Um, and I know that's not healthy for me. It wasn't until I had the evidence that, hey, you have leaky gut. This is most
Hmm.
likely caused by, that, because all the other things I'm doing shouldn't be resulting in this.
Hmm.
And that was really the big why for me, is like, oh, because now I am not, indestructible like I thought I was. Maybe I'm not going to be around for my kids as long as I want to be, etc., etc. So sometimes you really do. It's not rock bottom, like you said. It's just really having that, real good idea of what your why is,
Yeah.
and that can help you get through the change and do those things.
And for you, because you operate with this radical ownership mentality, it's like often when you even when you identify the why, there's so much guilt and shame from what you've done in the past
Yeah.
that it's too painful to look at or really take ownership of. So again, people keep avoiding it. So when you can get to that place of the why, and then have that ownership of like, yeah, where I am right now, exactly what I look like, feel like, what I'm surrounded by, this is my doing, I am responsible for this. taking shame, guilt, anger, anything, away from anyone else, and just owning it, then you can really step into this new identity and this new place, um where change can really start to take hold and become part of your new identity.
Yeah, and it's really about being willing to get uncomfortable too, because you know, you can say discomfort is the price of change, right? You you know you're going to have to go through it. And I use the Phoenix example all the time of, I would have clients who would want to lift, certain weights, and they say, "Why aren't you doing that with us?" And I say, "Because you have to be willing to get to right to that point where you're about to puke,
Mm,
and I don't think you're mentally prepared for that."
yeah,
And there are sacrifices that need to be made with changes.
yeah,
Uh, but again, if you know why you're doing it, it makes it that much easier to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
yeah. And uncovering that why also can lead to the a tweak in what the change actually is. Sometimes we start off with, oh, we want this, we want to achieve this, or we want to make this change, and then no one really digs into what it would take to get there. Like you just mentioned, like maybe it's be able to lift a certain weight, and that's okay if you start realize, like, wow, this is the commitment that it will take. I don't believe that. I don't know that I actually want to do this anymore, right? So maybe that's not the actual goal. Maybe just getting to a place where, a different health goal, whatever it might be, but it helps you really clarify, like, how committed are you to what it is that you're saying you want. And it's okay to change your mind when you're getting clarity going through these exercises.
Yeah, and I always say that with clients, and particularly in the beginning, tell them I'm not in the driver's seat here. This is you.
Mm,
Consider me your GPS. I'm guiding you, but hey, if you want to take a detour, I'll adjust to that too. And especially when we're trying to, right, every 2 weeks we're gonna have new homework for you to do and whatever. What do you want to do? What are the three things you can do that we've talked about today?
hmm
And you used to do this stuff with me all the time too.
And
Like,
what
all
will
right,
you do?
yeah, what will you do? What are you willing to do?
Yeah,
Um, I'm not going to tell you because
yeah,
it has to come from you.
yeah. Well, and that's getting someone, that's possibilities thinking, right? When you're thinking about change, you're like, you want to change, but you don't know how to actually get there.
Yeah,
And people get stuck. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. You go into, okay, well, what could you do? Right. And you, like, there's no rules, like, pretend there's no parameters, pretend you could fly if you needed to. So you got to get out of that stuck state, which is connecting the body and the brain, and start thinking about what are the possibilities. Okay, fine. Now you name 10. Out of those 10, what what one of those, like, could you do? Well, I can't really fly, so I got to take that one off. I could do this. I could do this. I could do this. Okay. Well, what one of those do you want to do? Right? And then what will you do? So, like, literally there's like five different stage of change and commitment just in that one little exercise. And when we skip past all of this work and then wonder why change doesn't take effect or why we can't do it, and we just go, oh, I'm not good with change, I have no willpower, I'm not motivated, and now we're just cycled right back into those terrible I am identity belief statements.
yeah. And I was going to say, on the flip side of it, we have to kind of let go of those identities that we had sometimes, and reframe. And I'm going through this now with, I started a new career,
Hmm.
um, alongside my functional health practitioner. And I even told them, look, I have this practice. I still want to grow it. This is really a labor of love for me. It won't interfere with this though, and totally supportive. Um,
Good.
and I kind of realized, all right, uh, I've built this identity around health, being healthy, and I kind of I had this feeling of, I want to. Why do I want to do it? Is it to make money from it, or is it to help people? And I kind of came to the conclusion of course, I want to be compensated for my time. I'm not expecting to do this stuff for free, but I don't want that stress of I need this client. I need two clients this month. Otherwise, I'm not gonna be able to pay the bills. And
Yeah.
I would much rather have a career that's, stable, is, a nice place to be, and all of that, and something I enjoy, and then grow this organically.
Mhm.
Um, and it took a little bit, and I'm still kind of working through that in my head, if I'm honest, of like
Mhm.
shaking that, just reshaping that identity of, you don't have to be just one thing, and it's okay to make the changes when these opportunities come.
Yeah. And it's okay to speed things up, but it's also okay to slow things down, right? It's okay for things to take time, especially when we're talking about big change. I'm 48 years old, right? Like if there's something that I've been doing my entire life and all of a sudden I expect that I'm going to change it overnight and it's going to be perfect, like that's how realistic is that? Now it's possible. It's certainly possible, but we don't often give the change enough time to actually happen because we have these false expectations that something's supposed to happen immediately, or we're used to instant gratification and we don't get that, so we give up on that. But we need to realize that some change does take significant amount of consistent time to actually become part of who you are.
Yeah, but a lot of people lack the patience, you know.
Mhm.
But I think that's why I'm so big on accountability, because you start looking at your choices in a different way. So then you can start creating those small wins that
Yes.
over time they compound.
Yep. And they fuel you through to the big wins.
Yeah,
So to me, like change is like life. Like if we're whether you want to or not, you're always changing. Your cells are always changing. There's always change happening. The only time change isn't happening, I was about to say, is when you're dead, but even when you're dead, there's change happening to your
yeah,
body is decomposing. A little bit of a morbid thought. Thank you, fever dreams and all the weird things I thought about last week. But like if you're the person that says, I am not good with change, like that's such a crutch and a cop out. Most people don't love radical change. There are people that certainly like change and they like things to be different, but there tends to be a baseline of stability there as well. Um, but really starting with what are you saying to yourself? What are you saying externally? What are you saying internally when when it comes to change? Right? What's your go-to kind of get off the hook, saying that it is? Um, Stop it. Look at that and like how can I make a statement that's way more powerful that's actually going to help me move forward with like, oh, I'm not a gym person. Oh, I don't like change. Oh, I hate healthy food. Oh, I'm not that, I'm not good with technology. I mean, there's just all these I am statements that just start flowing out. Really do a check-in,
yeah,
listen to yourself and listen to what you're saying.
yeah. I mean, words are powerful. I mean, you hear these. I don't want to call them studies, but these examples of two plants. You may have told this story before. You got the two plants. One you're telling "I love you" every day. The other one you're saying something mean to.
Yep.
The one you say "I love you" to grows. The other one dies.
Oh,
And yeah. What was that you called it in your on
my
your post?
frond, the
Your
frond of my palm, like it came up in it actually was stuck. I had to touch it this morning when I got home and it unflurled. It opened today. Um, so I
I
haven't,
always thought that was a fake plant, to be fair.
no, my plants are real, except those red flower things. Those are made out of wood, but that's real. Um, yes, change. It changes,
Yeah,
change is always
but
happening.
but,
And yes,
but
talking to it and feeding it and
yeah,
playing music. And there was also a study done with water molecules, where the
yes,
water like turned black. I mean,
yeah,
it's
and the frequencies and everything respond. You have to realize you are majority made up of water, so
mm,
your cells and the frequencies that they're vibrating at have a huge they're hugely impacted by your thoughts and the words you say,
yeah,
because that's the kind of frequency you're vibrating at. And I said to someone the other day, I won't say who, they were talking about, tomorrow is it's going to be such a crappy day. I'm like, don't say that.
right,
No, it's not.
right.
You know, and I've been saying to masonry, I've been really drilling that into him. You can't have a bad day.
Yeah.
You cannot have a bad day.
Yep. It's mindset, it's intention, it's there's a real frustration when your mind is saying that you want something and you feel like your body is almost self-sabotaging it because we don't have our nervous system in alignment.
Yeah.
Um so it's really important to do all of the things we talk about, the breathing exercises, the really sitting in stillness, the meditation, the activity, the playfulness, all of you've got to be in all of those states in order to really discover, like, what are you working towards, what change are you committed to, are you really committed to it? If it's a yes, then doing the daily things that it takes to make that change actually happen. And if it's a no, being like radical ownership, like, okay, you know what? I've been saying this for the last 10 years. This was important to me. I realize it isn't. So I'm going to let go of it and I'm going to take on something else that actually is important to me, or I'm going to do the work to find out, like, why is this important? What is it I'm actually trying to gain here?
Yeah, I was going to ask you this. I'm trying to think of an example for myself. Have there ever been any changes you've tried to make that you weren't successful in completing?
Oh, yeah. I've been trying to lose the same 50 pounds since I had my son, and he's 13 years
Yeah, but
old.
that's not that's and I was going to clarify too. That's to me that's not a change. That's a goal. Like a change would be something you were doing to get to that goal.
Well, the change
And
is being more physically active. The change is not eating processed foods. And I actually have made a lot of these changes
right.
and I've done a lot of them consistently. It's just taking time. Like I looked at, like I'm down 21.8 pounds and that's in over 2 years. um when I really started being like I am an athlete and focusing on that identity and being more aware, and I looked at a picture of myself and I was like, wow, I actually really do look a lot different. Like I have come a long way from that. I'm about to hit a number on the scale that will be the lowest it was since before I got pregnant. And that's a huge win for me because I got close and then I would tick back up 10 pounds.
Hmm.
Um, in- anyway, so that is, now I have not achieved it, but it is a change that I am still consistently committed to. It's just happening a little less fast than I would have liked it.
Well, and I would go back and say that because the punchline of the reason I asked the question is I can't think of any changes I've tried to make that I haven't ultimately succeeded doing. And I
Mm,
think you're the same because the punchline is if you don't start it, it's not going to fucking change. If
yeah,
you do it,
yeah,
the change happens. It might
yeah,
take longer than you want. It might be uncomfortable for a long time.
yeah.
But if you don't commit to it and just do it, and I hate the saying "nothing changes if nothing changes." A few of our listeners will understand understand the context of that, but I don't like the saying.
Yeah,
But that is the truth. If you don't just commit to it and do it,
yeah,
'cause you're not going to succeed.
yeah. And you can always find reasons and justifications to make excuses.
Yeah,
And that's where, like, it doesn't have to be perfect, and having that grace and space with yourself. And it is a journey. It is absolutely a journey.
yeah,
Um, but it feels good. It does feel good when change is happening and there's momentum behind it, and you're starting to see the results from that change, from the mindset, from the physicality, no matter what it is.
yeah,
That's like the sweet spot, right? And that's where really keeps you going forward, and it makes things lifelong, makes them sustainably
yeah,
lifelong. But it takes
yeah.
some time.
And I'm keeping an eye on the time and putting my
Yes,
shoes on so I can start getting
gotta
ready
go.
to get Mason. But one point I wanted to make is, what makes things, when all the chaos of change is happening around you,
Mm,
if you find, one or two of those grounding things,
mm,
like podcast for us, that make that change seem less, less abrasive and less kind of radical is not the right word, but less kind of chaotic,
yes.
it makes it that much easier to pull through it. And I even had this today, like I'm not used to being at an office. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
in my office, but I could leave whenever I wanted, whenever.
Yeah.
I had to make some changes today. I was like, you know what? I'm going to start going outside and walking in the sun, like practice what I preach. Don't just
Yes.
get stuck here and doing this. And
Good.
you just have to keep those grounding things, and then nothing else can affect you.
Absolutely. And so identifying what those grounding things are,
Yeah,
and you can have the most chaotic days in the world, as long as you can come back to some type of grounding, something small, like that's how you become unshakable,
yeah,
because the change is going to come in, the chaos is going to come in, and chaos can be a beautiful thing. Change is a beautiful thing. But if you don't have grounding that you can fall onto, it's really easy to get lost in all of it. Um, when really the tools are pretty simple.
yeah. And I want to go in, and I'm guessing on a podcast on Saturday that the the topic is stress and the effect it has on you. But you kind of realize, and you know this too from your coaching,
Hmm.
it's all the simple things. Like, all we think it's all these fancy, in my life it's supplements, and in your world
Yeah.
it's perhaps, different tools or whatever, but it's really the simple things. It's those grounding things that once
Yeah.
you can establish those,
Yes.
that's when you're in alpha flow.
I was coaching an agent last week, and he said he had like this aha moment. He said, "I have been in therapy for the last 5 years, and I'm very pro therapy, and I know you are as well." He had this aha moment. He's like, "I've been in therapy the last 5 years, and all I really needed was a good coach." Because it was just simple. Like, we just simplified it, and we just had real talk, and we simplified it, and it all, and probably from years of therapy, allowed his brain to even get to where he was.
Yeah.
But we overcomplicate things. Um, there was things I want to talk about, but I know we're at time. But it's simplifying, it's picking one or two things, it's doing it consistently, staying in tune with yourself. Is it making you feel good? Great, keep doing it. If it is it not making you feel good, and you know it's not the right thing for you, let go of it. Try something new. Stay around your people. Embrace when the pressure is, because that's that gift of struggle, which is where we really truly grow, and change is growth. So we will shoot very soon again. We're going to get our episodes back underneath this. We need some guests, please. If you want to be a guest
Yeah,
on
no,
How
I have
Don't
I have a
Yes.
few lined up.
Okay.
We just got to coordinate.
Okay, I know. Make them, and I want to hear if there's anyone else out there. There's so many brilliant people all around.
Yeah.
We want to have conversations. All right, buddy. Have a great, safe drive. And until next time, friends. Bye for now.